Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be doing the very first episode reviews for Shadow and Bone, the new Netflix adaptation. And yeah, so today I'm going to be reviewing episodes 1 and 2. Like for the next few days I'll be uploading like double episode reviews, which I'm very excited for. I'm currently up to episode 6, so I'm filming like 3 videos now, like episodes 1 and 2, episodes 3 and 4, and episodes 5 and 6. And I'm really enjoying the show so far. I have a lot to share. I have all my thoughts, although most of them are just incoherent screaming. I'm really excited to discuss episodes 1 and 2 and my reactions to them. And yeah, we'll just have a fun time. I think just before we start on this little series, there have been a few like issues highlighted with this show, and I think they are like important to acknowledge and recognise that maybe the show isn't as good as it could be, or especially in terms of like problematicness. So yeah, I'll try and link like a few threads that people have made in the description, because I don't feel like I'm really qualified to talk about that. But yeah, that's definitely something to be aware of. But I do think it's possible to like enjoy something while acknowledging it's problematic. Because yeah, I did quite enjoy the show, and I feel like just thinking of it as a separate entity from the books as well is quite good, because I feel like it does follow the books, I would say, reasonably well, especially the Shadow and Bone stuff. Like the Six of Crows isn't really follow the book plot at all, except from like Nina and Matthias. But I think it works really well as the show, and like them combining together, I don't know, I just think it worked well. And I feel like they brought to life so many of the characters so well. I really like the casting. I'll kind of talk a bit about that as we go through. But yeah, just Jessie Mei Lee as Alina. Oh, step up me. Oh, yeah, I love her. Okay, so yeah, we'll start with episode 1. So yeah, we start with Alina in a little car, like with her fellow map makers, just going to like the war camp. And I think one thing they did really well is like the sets. I really like them, especially the like Ravkan bits. I thought really good. Actually, I thought Ketterdam was quite good as well. But yeah, I really like the sort of setup. I did think some of the CGI was slightly iffy. Like especially, I don't know, the shadow fold was kind of cool from like the kind of big scope, but like the inside, I guess, I just feel like some of the powers were a bit weird, like the effects bit for me. I wasn't that bothered by that. Okay, yeah, so we see the shadow fold. So at the start she's like going in this cart to the war camp at the, is it at Kabransk? No, Kabransk is something else. That's from a different book, I think. Yeah, I think it's Kabransk. Anyway, now I'm going to be thinking what Kabransk's from. Oh, that's from Stormlight. Okay, anyway, yeah, so she gets there in a little map maker uniform. One of my notes is Alina's little smile when Mal is mentioned, because I think first of all they say something about Mal and Alina has this little smile, and oh, it's so cute. The show is definitely turning me into like a Melina shipper. I love them. To be honest, in the books they were probably the couple I shipped most. I guess except from Nikolai and Alina, but I never really shipped Nikolai and Alina. I think because I knew maybe that Nikolai and Zoya were like a ship, and I loved them so much. So yeah, I mean Nikolai is definitely like the best out of the 3 boys. But if it's a choice between Mal and the Darkling, I feel like I've always been on Mal's side, just because I always like the slightly kinder ones. But I thought they actually did a really good job in the show of actually making Mal likeable and making you like root for him. Also, on that note, the first scene we get of Mal is Archie Renault shirtless, which was an excellent choice, I have to say. Yeah, and he was like in this pit fight. I'm not entirely sure why that was. I don't know if they did that in the books, but yeah, I mean, I'm always here for shirtless men, so not complaining. So that's the start. I'm just kind of going roughly off my notes, and then we sort of get this transition. I think it's like Mal comes up to Alina, and I love their like little interactions, their banter, and like the smile. That scene where he's got like his arm around her. Oh, they're just like childhood friends. That is so cute. And then he comes and they're talking, and he mentions he has like Kruger from Ketterdam. Which is a type of money, and then it sort of transitions to Ketterdam. I actually thought some of the, especially in the earlier episodes, the transitions between like the Ravkan storyline and the Ketsadam storyline were done so well. They just sort of would say something that just perfectly like fit the transition. I don't know. There were so many moments when I thought, oh, that was cool. But yeah, so we get to Ketsadam, and I was a little bit worried about Ketsadam because in the trailer it has this really like manky green filter. And there were a few scenes with like the green filter, but I didn't think it was that bad actually. It wasn't a pervasive green filter. So that was good. I think it also like the posters tend to be quite greeny, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. I do like green as a colour, but I feel like it's very manky green. But I thought they did a good job with like the Ketsadam sets. It reminded me a bit of like Peaky Blinders with like the whole like vibes. I mean, it's always reminded me a bit of that, but yeah, I enjoyed that. So we see Jesper, his like intro, and he's like at the card tables, and he does this little trick with the gun and like firing the bullet through the coin, which is cool. And then Kaz shows up iconically. I just have Kaz and then 3 exclamation marks in my nose. I was obviously very excited about that. And then I feel like Jesper and Kaz have really good like chemistry. Oh well, all Jesper, Kaz and Inej, but like Jesper and Kaz, they're such an iconic duo, especially in the books, and the like banter between them. I haven't got to any scenes. I don't know if it'll be in this first season because I feel like it happens in Crooked Kingdom, and this season wasn't even Six of Crows. But when Kaz calls Jesper Geordie, we haven't really got any of Kaz's backstory so far actually, which is interesting. And we meet Inej as well. So Kaz like goes to his room and like looks at the open window, and then Inej shows up, which is cool. With the like crows, I thought they were well cast, like especially for looks. I feel like Jesper especially, I think the actor's Kit Young, and he just captures Jesper's like personality so well. I also feel like Freddie Carter did a really good job with Kaz, because Kaz I think is a hard character probably to act, because like so much of the sympathy you like get for him as a reader in the books comes from his internal like monologues, but you don't see as much of that from the outside. But so yeah, it was a bit feral. I love Kaz. I mean, I'm sticking to episode 1, but yeah, Kaz was also good. A very iconic introduction. Yeah, Zoya, we see Zoya quite early on, and I love Zoya in the books. I love Zoya. Like, she's one of my favourite characters easily. Well, I guess maybe she definitely wasn't a favourite character in Shadow and Bone, but now that I've read nearly all the Grishaverse, she's a favourite. But yeah, show Zoya is a bit unlikable, especially at first, but that's kind of understandable because she is kind of one of the villains, especially in Shadow and Bone. The actress who plays her is really pretty, so yeah, I was excited to see her. I was just excited to see all the characters basically. Okay, my next comment is already a Melina stan 20 minutes in, because they were just so cute. I feel like I talked about that a lot already. I've got written down the crows narrating Ben Barnes' entrance. So this is another one of those like transitions. The crows are kind of talking in the like bar or pub. I guess they probably don't call it a pub, but anyway, they're talking and they're like explaining about how the Shadowfold was made and like talking about the Black Heretic. And at the same time, we're getting flashes to these scenes of just this like character with the back of his head like walking in this like billowing cloak. And I feel like in episode 1 we didn't really see Ben Barnes or the Darkling or General Kirigan, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, we only sort of saw the back of him and his like billowing cloaks. I feel like especially in episode 1 they gave him so many billowing cloaks, and I think this sort of, I'm very interested to know if people like never read the books and like never engaged in like fandom online and knew nothing about the Grishaverse, whether they would like plot he was a villain from the outset. Because I feel like in the books it's very easy, especially since it's called the Darkling. In the show, he's just like the army general, and I feel like he wears black a lot and he's quite like intimidating. But I don't know if he comes across as like evil, especially at first. But like in episode 2, but then we don't really see much of him in episode 1. We just sort of see like flashes of him and his like stepping. So I feel like he does seem quite villainous in that sense. I don't know if that just made any sense what I just said, but yeah, so I'd be interested to know if people like immediately thought he's the villain, if they didn't already know, if that makes sense. Pekka Rollins, he was interesting to see, like, straight away. I feel like he had an Irish accent, which I guess makes sense from the books, because I think he is, like, from the Irish equivalent. But also I feel like he was in the wrong show, because he just, like, comes in and starts killing people. And I was like, come straight out of Peaky Blinders. Also, I swear I've seen that actor before. But anyway, yeah, so that was interesting to see him introduced. And I feel like we get a bit of the sense of the tension between Pekka Rollins and Kaz, although not a lot. I feel like I might have been a bit confused about that if I didn't, like, already know from having read the books, because I feel like we don't really get any of Kaz's backstory. Just kind of get the sense that they're, like, rival crime lords, I guess. And, like, when the Pekka Rollins men, I think this is in episode 2, but when they come and, like, beat Kaz up, I feel like Kaz would have taken them on. But maybe he's not quite at that level yet, because this is kind of seeing them before they, like, we meet them in Six of Crows, I guess, technically. Who knows what they were up to before that. So back to the Ravkins now, and Alina and Mal are ending up on this ship and they're going into the fold, which is cool. I think the entrance into the fold was quite cool, the way the, like, wind blows and Alina's, like, scarf blows off, and then it, like, blows past Ben Barnes, and he's just stood there with his robe billowing looking at the fold. I thought that was quite interesting. And then, yeah, in the fold, there's the Volcra, like, scene. But I like that scene in the trailer when the, like, Volcra comes up behind the guy. But I think because I'd seen it before, it wasn't that scary. And then Mal, like, gets attacked, and Alina's like, no. And then, well, I didn't realise, but it's when, like, Alina's getting taken that she releases all this light power, which was cool. Also, very dubious CGI on the light. Well, like, why does the light come out of her face? I didn't understand that at all. I much preferred it, like, later on in the series they started getting her hands, like, doing the light. But when, at the start, it was like this light coming out of her face, and it was very weird. So yeah, I'm not sure I was a fan of that, but I liked the rest of the scene. Yeah, and then the crows are also on a mission to try and find the Sun Summoner to hunt her down. So I guess it's a bit, like, similar in the Six of Crows when they're, like, after I've forgotten his name anyway. When they're after the guy from who's held hostage in the Ice Court. So, but this time, like, in the show, they're after Alina for the money, for this, like, fabled Sun Summoner. So then they're now gonna try and get this job for, like, 1 million Kruger, which I feel like in the books it's like 30 million Kruger or something, but maybe they changed it just to make it seem like a more reasonable number, I don't know. But I thought that was an interesting choice in a way to, like, interweave them, that the crows are, like, hunting for Alina, which is cool. And I did think, actually, they've woven the two storylines together quite well. I enjoyed it. I feel like I added to the Shadow and Bone stuff to have the crows, like, in there. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Moving on to episode 2, so we start with this, like, flashback scene of baby, like, Alina and Mal at the Karamzin, I think is the orphanage. And I think in the book, from what I remember, it's only, like, the prologue where we get that scene. But I like the way they did it in the show, how the flashbacks are sort of a little bit interspersed and they sort of fit with events in the, like, main timeline, which I thought was cool. So yeah, I like seeing little Alina and Mal. I've got, why does baby Mal look like the dude from Stranger Things? Which I feel like he does look. I can't remember what's his character called, but, like, the one of the, like, 4 younger boys who, like, Steve kind of adopts. I don't know why I've forgotten his name. I only remember Steve and Robin from Stranger Things. So him, anyway, I felt like baby Mal looked a bit like him. But yeah, okay, what's next? Okay, I've got Kaz going off at Inej. I feel like Inej, first of all, goes off at Kaz, and then Kaz just, like, completely is Kaz. And he just has, like, no regard for others' feelings, and he'll just be like, no, we're doing things my way. Which I feel like is very much like Kaz would be. So I like that. We've got Ben Barnes in capitals with many exclamation marks. I'm sorry this is a bit of a chaotic order. I'm just sort of mentioning my thoughts, and I feel like you could notice he was a better actor than all the others. I thought the acting was reasonably good, but I feel like his acting was just like a step, like the next level. You can tell he's like the best actor and just his kind of subtlety almost I really enjoyed, and obviously I love him. Then we get the scene where he like comes up to Alina and like scratches her arm, and then the light like beams up, which was really cool. Yeah, so that was quite exciting. And then like Mal's like trying to get to Alina, and the soldiers like holding him back, and then they see this light, and yeah, it was just very kind of cinematic, I guess. I actually, in that scene, I quite liked the like light. I thought it was cool with like the beam. Generally I was a bit dubious about the light, but in that one it was cool. Yeah, then there's like Jesper and Inej like scheming at the bar. I thought it was cool, like, and they're talking about like what Kaz wants, and like not what Kaz wants, but like, yeah, kind of what Kaz wants, and like he's gonna just do it his way. And then like Inej leaves, and then Kaz comes down and like slams his drink back, and then it's like, because he's just been beat up by like Pekka Rollins' men, and that's a very like dramatic scene. And then Lena like gets taken away by the Darkling to the Little Palace, and the scene that like hit me in the feels was when Mal was like running after the carriage like shouting Alina. Oh, I really loved Show Mal, he was great. So yeah, that scene. And then we go back to the Crows again, and Inej goes to Tanti Helen, or I think it's her, from the menagerie, and she like, for some reason, I don't know if they like changed it so she was an assassin or something, but she was asked to kill this certain person who we don't really know, so it's a bit mysterious. And Inej has a thing like against killing anyone. So yeah, that's interesting. So she's now on this mission, and then I think she goes and asks Jesper if he can do it. Got more Jesper and Inej bonding. I feel like they had so many like little moments which were good, because I really loved their like dynamic in the book, so it was great to see like on screen. And then we get to like Alina in the carriage, and she's on the way, and the like Fjerdans attack them. First of all, Fedor, I love him. The actor who plays him gives him so much like cheek and charm, and I've got it written down later on, but I do really like him. But yeah, they're being attacked by the Fjerdans. And then the Darkling comes along with his like shadow knife, and I remember the scene from the books, and like slices this man in half, and is like, yeah. So I guess what I was saying earlier about, is he seen as villainous, then maybe you get a sense from that scene that he's the villain. Yeah, so that happens, and saves Alina, and then they like ride off together back to the Little Palace. Oh yeah, okay, and then I got very excited because Kaz and Jesper like walking along, and Jesper's like, we should hire a demolitions expert for this job, and then Kaz is like, you want us to hire a demolitions expert every job? It made me think of Wylan, so that was very excited. I feel like that was a little like Easter egg that they threw in there. I've just written, yes, Mal, get your girl. I don't know, I feel like that scene's when Mal's like, he's gonna go and track Alina down or something, or follow her. I think maybe I thought he was about to follow her, but then I think his friends show up and like convince him not to, because it'll get him like executed or whatever. So I think I maybe wrote that a bit prematurely, but yeah. Okay, yeah, then back to the Crows. So Kaz is hunting for a way to get them across the fold to try and get Alina, but then so they find out there's this person called the Conductor who knows how to get across. So they're like hunting the Conductor now, but then they realise that the person Inej has been asked to kill is the Conductor. So Inej is like about to murder him when like Kaz shows up. I thought that was cool, and that was when I really started like getting invested in the Crows storyline from the like TV show, because up to that point I feel like I liked seeing them obviously, but I feel like their storyline hadn't really started. So then from about there on, I started really like loving the Crow scenes. Yeah, so I thought that was cool, and it like just stepped up a little bit, like the kind of intensity, I guess. And then they get to the Little Palace, and I like the outside of the Little Palace. It's like the stereotypical like European style. I feel like when I went to Vienna, a lot of the buildings kind of look like that, and like the inside looked like one of those places where like you'd go to National Trust property and like you go in the house and it just looks all like old. And then when Alina gets to her room, she just starts crying, which is very relatable. First of all, I feel like if I'd been what she'd been through, I would just get there and just break down. And then I've written, why are Mal and his friends Yorkshire lads? Because like Mal has his pair of friends and just the three of them together, they just scream like lads. I don't know why. I feel like whenever like Americans or anywhere else think of like British boys, I guess they always think of like the like posh like type ones, but realistically they're all chavs. Well, they're not all chavs, but like the majority are like that chavvy style, and I feel like Mal and his pair of friends, they were just like, I don't know, they just seemed to me like Yorkshire lads. So I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, and then there's a scene where Alina's in her bed at the Little Palace and she's like looking to the side to this like empty space, and then Mal's like lying in his pallet somewhere and looking to the side, and they're like looking, and the camera keeps switching, so it looks like they're looking at each other, and then it's like also the flashback where they're like little children like looking at each other in the meadow and like holding hands, and then in the current timeline their like hands reach out, and oh, that was so emotional. Yeah, I really like them together. So yeah, that was what I wrote about that. Yeah, I have become a big Melina stan. And then finally, my last note to talk about is Kaz giving up the Crow Club for Inej, which to like pay off Inej's debt, which I can't actually remember if that happens in the books. I feel like Kaz does definitely sell the Crow Club in the books, but I can't remember why he does it. But I thought that was a little like emotional moment, like what Kaz is willing to give up for Inej. So yeah, that also hit me in the feels. Yeah, although I don't like up to this point, like in episodes 1 and 2, I don't really feel like a big like sexual tension, I guess, between Inej and Kaz, because whereas I feel like in the books when we get like Inej's POV and like in her head, you know that she like kind of likes Kaz. Whereas I feel like in this show they're maybe not quite at that like level yet. You can tell they like care about each other, but also I feel like with Alina and Mal and stuff, you could tell there was like sexual tension, and Alina and the Darkling, although yeah, well, I mean we do get them together, so yeah, but I feel like with Inej and Kaz I didn't quite feel it like yet, but you can really tell they like care about each other, so I like that. Okay, so that concludes episodes 1 and 2. So be on the lookout for the next review with episodes 3 and 4, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the first couple of episodes. I would really love to know. And yeah, I hope you're all having a really great day and enjoying the nice weather we're having in England at the moment. Or if you don't live in England, then enjoying whatever weather you have currently. Yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.